Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you all in my class, in the class of accountancy, class 12, where we were dealing a very important chapter of term 2, that is financial statement of non-profit organization. Means in this chapter we are dealing with the concept of preparing books of account in the not-profit organization, and came to know that how the accounting treatment and the rules of accounting are implemented in such type of organization. Students, in the previous classes or in the previous lecture, we have dealt the conceptual framework of these NPO. Means we have dealt that what these NPOs are and how the books of account are prepared in the books in the case of a non-profit organization. Dealing that, we have discussed the receipt and payment concept, and a part of that we will also be in this class, that what is the concept of income and expenditure and how it is prepared. So let us discuss that what is the income and expenditure initially and how it will be prepared in the books of not-profit and organization. So let us deal what is an income and expenditure. Income and expenditure account. First of all, when we talk about this account, I would like to inform you that this account is prepared for the purpose of the surplus or the deficit of the firm over a period of time. Over a period of time. I hope you very well know, and whenever you calculate the surplus or the deficit, the rule of preparing such account or such surplus or deficit is very much based on the rule of nominal account. And wherever what the expenses of an organization related to remuneration will be debited, and whatever the income of such nature will be credited. यानी जो भी हमारी वैल्यू है, जो भी हमारी कह सकते हैं रेवेन्यू नेचर की इनकम है, वो सारी इनकम क्रेडिट होंगी, और जो भी एक्सपेंसेस हैं रेवेन्यू नेचर के, वो सारे एक्सपेंसेस हमारे अल्टीमेटली डेबिट होंगे. बट दिस इज टू बी माइंड ऑलवेज दैट both the things are made as per accrual method. That means analysis of current year values only. It means whatever the adjustments or whatever the adjustments or whatever the transaction which is not recorded for the next or the current year or the previous year will be excluded from these transactions, as we can say that exclude the value of next year or the previous year. Means whatever the transaction that are concerned with the previous year or whatever the transaction which are concerned with the next year will be not a part of this income and expenditure account. I would like to repeat it again that the income and expenditure is an account which is prepared for the purpose of calculating the surplus or the deficit of the firm over a period of time. This period of time is specified as a financial year, and ultimately the rule of nominal account is very much influencing for the preparation of this account, where ultimately the debit will be recorded as all expenses of revenue nature and credit will be recorded as all the transactions which are income of revenue nature. And ultimately related to the capital items, related to the non-recurring items, all the transaction will be the part of balance sheet. So here we are dealing with the only revenue nature transaction, and if the revenue nature is related to the expense, it will be debited, and if this revenue nature is related to the income, it will be credited. So I hope this concept is very much clear. And one thing I will also remind again, that these debit and credit are made as per the accrual method. Accrual method means this analysis of this income and expenditure are related to the current year only, and the value of next year or the previous year will be excluded from this value. जो करंट ईयर की वैल्यू है केवल वही रिकॉर्ड करेंगे और प्रीवियस ईयर की या करंट नेक्स्ट ईयर की वैल्यू को हम एक्सक्लूड कर देंगे. सो लेट अस टॉक अबाउट द फॉर्मेट एंड द फॉर्मूला ऑफ income and expenditure, and let us came to know that how the income and expenditure will be prepared as per that particular format. So first of all, let us discuss the format, and later on we will implement this format in solving the practical question. So let's come again. So let us discuss a practical example of income and expenditure, as it has been given before you that with the given information of receipt and payment of Golden Cricket Club of New Delhi, we have to prepare the income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st March 2019. As the question given the information of receipt and payment, and we have to prepare the value of the income and expenditure, I would like to remind you that the income and expenditure are recorded as only when the transaction is revenue in nature, and if the transaction is revenue in nature, then it will recorded as per the rule of nominal account, and ultimately all the expenses will be debited and all the income will be credited. So let us see whether the items are nominal or not, and whether the items that are given in the receipt and payments are revenue in nature or not. Whatever the value and whatever the transaction given in the receipt and payment will be recorded in the income and expenditure only when then these items are revenue in nature and ultimately recorded as per the rule of nominal account. So let us see that which items are revenue in nature and will be the subject matter of preparing income and expenditure accounts. Let us see one by one. When we talk about the cash balance or the bank balance given as per the receipt and payment, it is not the repetitive transaction, as it would be recorded only once at the time of opening year, or second time it will be recorded at the time of closing year, and that is why therefore it will not be recorded at all in the preparation of income and expenditure account. And when we talk about the second content, that is the subscription, as we know that the revenue nature transaction says that the income and expenditure will be recorded as per the accrual method, and that is why therefore only the value of current year will be recorded, as you can see here, that 2,25,000 in the credit side. And ultimately, when we talk about the donation for building, and this donation is a specified donation or the donation for a specific period purpose, and that is why therefore it will not be the subject matter of the preparing income and expenditure, as if any collection are made by the organization for any specific purpose, that is a liability, and that is why therefore it will be recorded in the balance sheet. When we talk about some more content, then ultimately the payment are recorded in the debit side of income and expenditure, and only when if they are revenue in nature. So as we can see, the printing and stationery is almost the regular payment, and meanwhile when we talk about the lighting, it will also recorded in debit side as per the revenue nature transaction. Rent and tax is a kind of revenue nature income, revenue nature expense, and that is why it will be debited. And ultimately, telephone charges, postage and courier, wages and salaries, insurance premium, purchase of furniture, these all content are revenue in nature, except the purchase of furniture, because the purchase of furniture is a kind of capital item, and that is why therefore it will not be recorded at all. And except the purchase of furniture, the all content should be recorded in the revenue and income and expenditure account as per the concept of revenue nature transaction, and that is why therefore these items will be recorded in the debit side of income and expenditure account. Now see that some more informations are also given in the debit side of receipt and payment, as the entrance fees is given here. The value of entrance fees is a kind of revenue nature transaction, and that is why it should be recorded in the credit side of income and expenditure account. And ultimately, life membership fees is not a revenue nature transaction, that is why it should not be recorded in the income and expenditure account. And when we talk about the interest, it will definitely be a subject matter of the income and expenditure account, and it will record it in the credit side as on the basis of the income in the income and expenditure account. So let us see the illustrations solution of this illustration, how the books has been prepared in this particular information. Now see, whatever the transaction we have identified in the previous information, that all content will be debited in the income and expenditure account. As you can see here, that the income and expenditure are prepared for a specific period of time, and as per the rule of nominal account, the all expenses will be debited and all income will be credited. So now see what are the expenses are revenue in nature as identified above. The printing and stationery we have earlier identified in the debit side. Similarly, when we talk about the lightings and rents and taxes, ultimately telephone charges will also be recorded in the debit side as per the rule of nominal account. And when we talk about the postage and courier, that will be the transaction of revenue nature, and that is why therefore it should be recorded in the debit side of income and expenditure account. And similarly, when we talk about the wages and salary, it will record it in the debit side of income and expenditure account. And when we talk about the insurance premium, it will record it in the debit side of income and expenditure account. But when we talk about the income side or the credit side of income and expenditure, only the value of subscription, the value of entrance fees, the value of interest, and the one more value that has not been mentioned in the above illustration, that is the locker's rent. These all item will be credited in the income and expenditure account as per the rule of nominal account, and after illustrating all these content we will identify that the credit total of the income and expenditure will reduce from the debit total, and if there is any deficit in the debit side, that will result in the surplus of income and expenditure account. It means the surplus of credit side, it means there is a profitable situation in the organization, as it should be written as the excess of income over expenditure. यहाँ पे हम देखेंगे कि जो सरप्लस है, सरप्लस का मतलब क्रेडिट टोटल को डेबिट टोटल के घटाने के बाद जो है, जो वैल्यू आएगी डिफरेंस की, वो डिफरेंशियल वैल्यू आपकी सरप्लस में रिकॉर्ड की जाएगी और उसी के बेसिस पे हम आगे बैलेंस शीट में प्रॉफिट में ऐड करेंगे कैपिटल को. So I hope the preparation of income and expenditure is very much clear to you, and now we will differentiate the concept of income and expenditure and receipt and payment, so that we could have a clear sense of receipt and payment and income and expenditure both. Later on we will discuss the difference between the income and expenditure and profit and loss too, so that the identification of these two make have a clear sense in our mind. So now see the difference between the income and expenditure and receipt and payment. As you can see here, that the distinction between the receipt and payment and income and expenditure are made on the basis of some identified criteria. So let us discuss this difference. As on the first criteria, that is on the basis of nature, that when we talk about the receipt and payment, as per the nature, the receipt and payment is a summary of cash book or cash or bank balance, and meanwhile when we talk about the income and expenditure, it is a summary of current year income and expenditure, and means whatever the income has been earned by the organization and whatever the expenses has been made by the organization over the year. And ultimately, when we talk about the transaction recorded in that particular account, in the receipt and payment, all the transaction of receiving, that will be recorded in the debit side of receipt and payment. And but when we talk about the debit side of receipt and income and expenditure, all the expenses and losses incurred in the current year accounting period will be credited there, debited there. And ultimately when we talk about the credit side of both these account, so in that case, whatever the credit side of uh, income and expenditure account will be the income and gains of that particular organization over a period of time. But when we talk about the receipt and payment, all the payment that has been made by the organization over the period will be recorded in the credit side. And ultimately when we talk about some more transaction or the more differences, that the type of account, so when we talk about the receipt and payment, it is a type of real account, as whatever the transaction are received by the organization and whatever the transaction due to which something comes inside of the organization will be debited, and whatever the transaction due to which the something flow outside of the organization will be credited. And ultimately when we talk about the income and expenditure account, all the transaction due to which the firm bears a loss will be debited, and all the transaction due to which the firm bears the expenditure, income, it will be credited there. And ultimately when we talk about some more transaction or more difference, the receipt and payment will made for the any year transaction, doesn't matter it is connected or related with the current year or not. But when we talk about the income and expenditure, all the transaction will be recorded only when if they are connected and related with the current year transaction. So एक बार फिर से हम इन सारे अंतर्स को, इन सारे डिफरेंसेस को समझ लेते हैं. तो अल्टीमेटली अगर हम बात करें रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट की, तो रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट के नेचर में हमने कहा कि रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट जो है हमारे कैश ट्रांजेक्शन की समरी बताता है, जबकि इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर हमारे इनकम और एक्सपेंडिचर की समरी बताता है। डेबिट साइड के ट्रांजेक्शन की रिकॉर्डिंग की बात करें अगर हम, तो रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट में हम रिसीविंग को रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, जबकि इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर में हम अपनी पेमेंट्स को यानी एक्सपेंसेस को रिकॉर्ड करते हैं। क्रेडिट साइड में हर वो ट्रांजेक्शन जो हमारी फर्म को लॉस दिलाता है या उसके कारण हम पेमेंट करते हैं, उसको हम क्रेडिट में रिकॉर्ड करते हैं व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट। और इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर के केस में ये जस्ट अपोजिट, यानी कि इनकम की रिकॉर्डिंग को हम इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर में क्रेडिट करते हैं। और इसी तरीके से हमने नेचर की बात की अकाउंट के, तो रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट रियल अकाउंट का नेचर है और इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर नॉमिनल अकाउंट का नेचर है। और इसके बाद और मेथड ऑफ रिकॉर्डिंग की बात करें, पीरियड ऑफ रिकॉर्डिंग की बात करें, तो हमारा जो रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट है वो केवल और केवल कैश ट्रांजेक्शन देखता है और ये बिल्कुल नहीं कंसीडर करता है कि ट्रांजेक्शन जो है करंट ईयर का है या प्रीवियस ईयर का या नेक्स्ट ईयर का। लेकिन हमारा जो इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर है वो केवल करंट ईयर के ट्रांजेक्शन को ही रिकॉर्ड करेगा ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ एक्रूवल मेथड, मीन्स चाहे वो पैसा मिला हो या ना मिला हो। So hope the differences between the income and expenditure and receipt and payment are very much clear to you. Let's talk about some little more difference as on the basis of income and expenditure and profit and loss account will be identified to you. Now see, the differences between income and expenditure or profit and loss account are made as before you, that the value of income and expenditure and the profit and loss are differentiated on some criteria as written in the basis of differentiation. When we talk about the first basis, that is the basis of objective, the income and expenditure are have the main objective to ascertain the surplus of expenditure over income, or you can say the income over expenditure. It means we are identifying the surplus of which transaction of which nature are take place in the NPO. But when we talk about the profit and loss account, it ascertain the net profit and the net loss. It doesn't matter, it doesn't focus the surplus or the deficit of any side. It primarily concerned to calculation of profit and loss. लेकिन जब हम बात करें इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर की, तो ये इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस शब्द को यूज़ नहीं करता, बल्कि ये सरप्लस और डेफिसिट से रिलेटेड शब्दों को यूज़ करता है। इसी तरीके से अगर हम प्रिपरेशन की बात करें, तो इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर की जो प्रिपरेशन होती है वो एनपीओ की जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करती हैं, नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करती हैं जिनको प्रॉफिट से मतलब नहीं होता है। लेकिन प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की प्रिपरेशन, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट की प्रिपरेशन वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करती हैं जिनको हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक स्पेसिफिक पीरियड में कितना प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी रहा या कितना अर्निंग रहा ये जानना चाहते हैं। यानी इन शॉर्ट हम कह सकते हैं कि जो प्रॉफिटिव मोटिव ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होती हैं वो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट बनाती हैं। इसी तरीके से अगर हम बात करें बेसिस ऑफ प्रिपरेशन की, तो जो इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर होता है वो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस की प्रिपरेशन ट्रायल बैलेंस के बेसिस पे करता है, जबकि हम अगर इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर की बात करें एनपीओस के रिगार्डिंग, तो इसकी प्रिपरेशन होती है हमारे रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट के बेसिस पे। यानी जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट में दी होती हैं उन सारी इन्फॉर्मेशंस को हम इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर में बेस बनाते हैं और उसी के बेसिस पे इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर प्रिपेयर करते हैं। और अल्टीमेटली अगर हम बैलेंसेस की बात करें, तो द बैलेंस ऑफ दिस अकाउंट शोज द सरप्लस ऑफ द और द डेफिसिट। मतलब अगर इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर में जो बैलेंस आता है उसके नाम की बात करें, तो अल्टीमेटली जो बैलेंस होता है उसे हम इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर में या तो सरप्लस का नाम देते हैं या तो डेफिसिट का नाम देते हैं। अगर क्रेडिट का टोटल ज़्यादा है, डेबिट का कम है, तो इसे हम सरप्लस कहेंगे, और वाइस वर्सा द कंडीशन ऑफ excess debit is the condition of deficit. But when we talk about the balance of profit and loss account, it shows the net profit or the net loss, as if the credit balance is higher then the company is in the condition of net profit, but if the balance of debit side is higher then the company is in the condition of net loss. So hope this difference of uh, trading and account, receipt and payment, and profit and loss account is very much clear to you. Now we will deal some practical question related to this income and expenditure account and its preparation also. And these question will discuss in the next class. Till then, take care and goodbye.